What if we are not alone in the universe and we are completely and utterly helpless to stop the invasion by aliens? Let's talk about the three-body problem. Hi, my name's Drew and welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. Now, I was really excited for this Netflix show. I don't know, I might have mentioned in a previous video, I'm unsure. Anyway, I'm actually currently, if you want to know, I'll say it right off the bat, this is based on a book series called, was it The Remembrance of Earth's Past, I think it's called, but it's more generally referred to as the three-body problem, which is actually the title of the first book. It's a very popular science fiction series. It's by Chinese author, and please apologize because this is most definitely going to be wrong. His name, to my understanding, is Lu Cixin, where Lu is the family name, and to my knowledge in China, or in many Asian countries, you actually say the last name first, right? So Lu Cixin, or I suppose if you want the Western order, it would be Cixin Lu, whatever, yeah? Anyway, so yes, this is a Chinese author, and this science fiction series is incredibly popular. I learned of it through a YouTube channel called Quinn's Ideas. I talked about that channel previously in my review for June, part 2, which I'll leave a link to at the end of this video if you're interested. Absolutely love that film. But yes, so by checking out his channel where he talks a lot about Dune, he also talks a lot about other science fiction. So if you generally want recommendation for good sci-fi, particularly more, let's call it darker sci-fi, really disturbing things, and you know, these kind of things that we don't want to think about, you know, what if aliens are like this, or what if the future is going to be like this? If that kind of idea interests you, you'll find a lot of potential reading material, definitely recommended by him on his channel. So check out all sorts of things. But in particular, I watched this because I was watching just a video of his channel about the three-body problem, and the story immediately gripped me. I immediately knew I need to read these books. As I said, I'm currently reading them. I'm more than halfway through the second book, which is called The Dark Forest, and then I just need one more just to finish off the trilogy. Really excited to see how it goes. I know rough bits of the story, sort of it was a bit spoilered, but yes. Anyway, I'm really enjoying it and it's really cool. I love the whole thing. And now we're talking about the Netflix adaptation. There was already an adaptation for TV done by Tencent, I think it's called. It was a Chinese TV studio. I haven't seen that version, so I can't comment on that. I can't make any comparisons. So this is strictly about the Netflix show, right? Right, so if you've never heard of this before, what is this actually? What is the three-body problem, right? Well, the most basic thing, and this is slightly spoilery, but this is what gripped me immediately when I heard it, so I'll just tell it to you in the same way. What happens is a military station, a satellite in China, during the revolution and then after the revolutionary years, they are sending out a signal to space, like many facilities do or have done in the past, you know, see if someone's out there. Well, in this case, someone actually answers, and they were replied to by us. I won't go into details because it's really cool what happens in that exchange. An alien race through these communications becomes aware of our existence. They themselves have a planet that they cannot survive on because it's got 3 suns that constantly revolve around it, causing all sorts of really extreme weather conditions, you know, from heat and cold, of course, to gravitational things. That is the actual three-body problem referenced by the title. And they're like, right, okay, there's a planet here, it's called Earth. It looks like they've got similar, you know, environmental conditions, etc. This is a planet we want to get to. Right, that's the basic thing of it. The planet itself, the travel they have to go through just to reach Earth is going to take over 400 years. And basically this story is about the human race knowing there's an alien race coming to invade in 400 years' time, and preparing for that, yeah? How do you prepare for it? What does it do with people? Obviously, as you can imagine, I mean, to make it interesting, it's vastly superior, at least in terms of technology. race of beings, so that, you know, really gets you into a mode of despair and fear. You know, we can't possibly battle these odds. What are we going to do in the next 400 years, etc., etc. That is what gripped me, because I thought, this is fascinating, you know, just the thought of it. You know that there's impending doom coming, but at the same time, at least in a normal human lifespan, you realise, okay, but it's not going to happen to me, it's going to happen to my descendants, you know. And that really, just what that does with you psychologically, it just really fascinates me, the concept of it. It's really exciting, right? And yeah, and there's a lot of scientific stuff in it, particularly in the books, right? So in this series, this covers a lot of the first book, some elements of the second book. So we see as they gradually, the humans on Earth, as they discover that, you know, these aliens exist and that they're going to come, and you see the beginnings of how humanity deals with this, right? That's what the series is about. So you've got government officials that are trying to figure out what's going on here. At the same time, you've got humans who sort of work with the aliens and trying to welcome them. It sort of starts a religion and a sort of cult-like thing, as you can imagine. They worship these aliens. They want them to come, basically because humanity's not able to look after their planet and themselves anyway. And that's the sort of basic gist of it. In the show, they've changed up from the book, where we're following just one person in particular, just a few people here. They've sort of switched around characters and meshed them together and added a few. But we're basically focused on a group of 5 people. They're called the Oxford Five. They're 5 students, all sort of in some science fields, in particular physics, as you can imagine, related to all this kind of stuff. And they are sort of drawn into this plot of, you know, world bending, world connecting, whatever you want to call it. So they've all got various connections to the main plot. I won't go into details about that. It is slightly changed from the books. Some people I've read online would say it's been dumbed down, and while I do agree, because the books, they get very scientific at times, whether correct or not I can't judge, but just at least in terms of terminology and explanations, you get very bit too much for me at times. But the show, in that sense, yes, has been dumbed down, but I get it. You want it to appeal to a broad mass, so you have to make it simpler, easier to follow. It does the job well. I feel that the spirit of the books is definitely maintained here. Also, I mean, this show was made by the same people who made Game of Thrones. So if you enjoyed Game of Thrones, at least for the majority of it, then you'll be happy about that. At least you might be trusting of the, the makers of this. And they actually got the blessing of Cixin Liu Cixin, sorry, I say I'm making the same mistake now with the order of the names. They got his blessing for all the changes they made. So if you're a purist, you're like, oh, this is not right because the book is different. Even the book's author was okay with the changes they made, right? I mean, he might just be thinking on book sales because like, oh, Netflix series, this is going to sell me so many books. Doesn't matter. In any case, he agreed to it, right? So yes, it's more streamlined. Everything moves along a lot faster. So the timeline itself, you know, just in the course of, what is it, nine episodes, or is it 10? I think it's 9. We've got the whole story that usually in the book at least feels a lot longer, the time it takes to develop. But it's done well. I like it a lot. You have the suspense. You have one of the best characters in the story as a detective. His name is Dashi, and he's this sort of cool guy who's, you know, he's very simple, you know, he's not a scientist or anything, but he's always got solutions. And especially in the book, they've actually, they've changed his character a bit here. I thought I would have liked him to be more cunning and just, I mean, he is cool here as well, and I love Benedict Wong, he plays him here, brilliant casting. I just had hoped to see a bit. There's some things he does in the book, I won't mention them because of spoilers. They've sort of taken that away from him in the show. One of the particularly most brilliant things involves the Panama Canal. I won't say any more than that. I was looking forward to him doing that here in the show, and he doesn't do it. I was a bit disappointed. But if you like a sort of science fiction mystery type of thing, that's what this is really. It's a sci-fi mystery. I mean, I've told you what the main overarching plot is, but there's so many elements within it. And there are things that happen, you're like, oh God, this is brilliant. How does that change the whole overarching thing, you know? And it's really very creative. So whether these are actual scientific things or whether it's more science fiction, you know, I don't care. It's really creative. And, you know, these aliens, and especially I like the thought of what is humanity going to do in these 400 years? How are they going to deal with this, right? And we even see, how do these people deal with it? They learn, right, there's aliens, they're going to come and kill us, they're going to wipe us out. What's the point in living anymore and dealing with these thoughts? And like I say, the sort of this basic structure is what is still intact in this Netflix series, and that's great because that is a great foundation to build everything else up on top of. The acting's great, I really like the actors, and like I say, very streamlined. They've moved it all from basically China, because that's where a majority of the books happen. They've moved it to the UK, which is a bit weird if you're used to reading the books and all these Chinese names, etc. It feels very weird, but okay, fine. And it's not as world spanning as the books are, because the books I like in that sense, because you've got the UN involved, and of course other countries like America, France, Britain, whoever, and that doesn't really happen here. It's all like it just happens in the UK. It feels very small, but when you think about it, if there were signaling like alien invasion on the horizon, the whole world would be involved, of course. So in that sense, it feels a bit weird how small it is in scale. But like I said, it's an interesting mystery, the sci-fi thing unraveling what is going on here, because we're watching these characters. They're each involved in some different way, and that's also interesting to find out what their connection is to this, and watching the detective also unraveling certain parts of this. I found it very cool. So if you like a sort of thrillery, I suppose, mystery story with a lot of science fiction in it and aliens, that kind of thing, then you should definitely be watching this. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they continue the story in the further series. I'm assuming it will be popular enough, because it really takes off there, and we get into really a lot of not only sci-fi but also futuristic stuff, because like I say, 400 years, so as far as I know, all three books cover that time, obviously. I'd recommend it, especially if you haven't read the book. I think that you'll be absolutely fine. The criticisms I get are mainly from people who have read the books and are unhappy about some changes. I do hope though it'll get you interested in the books, because like I say, it delves a lot deeper there. And there are a lot of elements that they have to leave out for a show, because you can't just translate a book one-to-one to the screen. It does not work, even if you've got a TV series. But there's a lot more in the book, so if you don't mind reading, I would highly recommend them. There's a lot more in there, and it's a great, fascinating story, and I can't even wait myself, because I haven't found out yet, to see how it ends. That'll be all from me today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe. It is the best way to support this channel. Leave a comment down below about anything free body problem related, books, TV show. Have you seen the 10-cent one? How do they compare to each other? I know I was rambling a bit in this video, I'm sorry about that, but I just have so many thoughts about this thing. Just wanted to share them. Like I mentioned before, I'll leave a link to my review of Dune Part 2 here. Also, as I recommended at the beginning of the video, check out Quinn's Ideas. If you like sci-fi, all sorts of sci-fi media, definitely check his channel out. I've learned of so many interesting books that I definitely want to read. So, I mean, he doesn't need a shout out. He's got a lot more subscribers, but still, I think it's a great point to mention his channel, because I like it a lot. I'll thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one on Flying Wiener. Take care. Bye.